If we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Foster, can you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's not on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioner Wedge,
Here.
Commissioner Hendrickson. Mr. Hendrickson, yeah. Commissioner Gruelle.
Here.
Commissioner Fiore's absent, sir. Commissioner Dr. DeMars,
Here.
Vice Chair Dr. Williams,
Present.
sir, and Chairman Villegas.
Here.
We have 5 commissioners, sir, 4 in person. We have a quorum.
This is the
Thank-
moderator. Is there someone named Doug? Are you Doug Henderson? You should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. We are going to have a long meeting today, so I'm going to forego my opening remarks and get right into the action items for the day. First would be to review and possible action to approve the March 3rd, 2025 Commission meeting minutes. Do I have a motion? Second? Any comments from the public? Andy, can you take a vote?
Yes, Mr.
Should
Chairman.
open up for public comment on WebEx,
Oh,
sir,
on the Zoom.
online.
Any comments from anyone on the Zoom?
Let's see, let's find out. If anyone on the online has a comment, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 2 minutes with a 15-second warning. Any comments at this time? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that feature?
Comments from the room? No? Andy, can you take vote?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Wedge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrickson, Commissioner Gruelle,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. DeMars,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Williams,
Aye.
Chairman Villegas.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, sir.
Thank you. Next item is to review and possible action to approve the April 10th, 2025 Commission meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any comments from the room? Any comments from anyone online?
This is the moderator. If anyone has any comments on the April minutes, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Any comments on the April minutes? I do not see any requests. Shall I close that feature?
Mr. Foster?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Wedge,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendrickson, Commissioner Gruelle.
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. DeMars,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Williams,
Aye.
Chairman Villegas.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, sir.
Thank you. The next item is the discussion and possible action on petition to change the decision for the Emmanuel Navarrete versus Charlie Suarez bout on May 10th, 2025 in San Diego, California. Mr. Foster?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was a WBO world title fight, had significant attendance. And during the fight, Mr. Navarrete and Charlie Suarez were in an exchange. It looked as though in the exchange and during the quick replay time that we got from the TV truck, and the only information we got from the TV truck, it looked as though the headbutt caused the laceration, and we got plenty of videos to show the commissioners. Upon further review, and this came about 30 minutes after the fight was over, we received different angles, and I believe that the laceration was caused by a punch instead of a headbutt. That's what I believe. And I'm recommending the commission use its regulatory authority to change this bout to a no contest. The WBO has ordered a rematch.
Do we have a video that we can?
We have lots of
play?
video. Tricia, let's start with let's go one right after the other.
There's a screen to the left, to my left, that you can see, I believe.
Suarez threw a jab, and Navarrete countered with a left hook, which Suarez dodged. Suarez then followed up with a left hook that landed, causing the cut above Navarrete's eye. If you observe closely, Navarrete was ducking, and his head was positioned near Suarez's face. Despite this, Navarrete still managed to throw a left hook. From another angle, it's clear there was no head clash, and Suarez's punch landed cleanly. While the two were in close range, you can see Suarez's left glove pressing. Navarrete's head didn't actually clash with Suarez's head. How could the cut be above the eye if Navarrete's head was pressed against Suarez's face? Was it a head?
Hand that comes in.
Punched. Let me see.
The left hand that comes in.
Punched. Let me see.
The left hand that comes.
Look at it 452 times. I can't look at it no more. I'm getting cataracts from how many times they were looking at this damn thing. What is the sense of having instant replay if it's not used properly? Look at it and see what it is. Have the gumption to go out there and say, yeah, you know what? After look at it 452 times, yeah, it was a punch. Change it. You're changing someone's life.
Let's see, is there blood there? Let's see. Go back a little bit. Ah. Okay. Bam. Straight left hand. Let's see, is there blood there? Let's see. Go back a little bit. Ah. Okay. Bam. Straight left hand.
Commissioners, would you like to see more videos?
Through the chair. Commissioner Foster, because that's such a narrow camera angle, it's been edited down. You've probably seen the broader image. Where was referee Calantes positioned at the time of where he thought he saw a headbutt?
He's here, sir, if you'd like to talk to him, but he was on the side where the punch was coming in. He was right there, and it happened so quickly, Commissioner Welch. Referee Calantes thought it was a headbutt. I thought it was a headbutt. I think a lot of people believed it was a headbutt because it happened so in quick succession. We've slowed it down for you right here, but it was a very,
Bam.
sir, I will tell you, in all my experience, I've never saw a gloved hand cause that level of a laceration before. I've not saw that. And we have the video of watching it, as Teddy says, 452 times. I think what happened was the punch made contact, and then it's an incidental contact along the wrist area that is much more rigid. That's what I believe happened.
Thank you.
Any other questions from my fellow commissioners?
I have a long thought on that. The first thing is, Mr. Suarez punched him in the exact spot where he got a cut. So that would have to be kind of a big coincidence. And this is one of those situations where I think everybody's got a point, because the first one was the rules say if there's a legal punch and it causes the person to not continue, it's a TKO. That's the rule. But on the other hand, I'm always against changing a loss to a win. And the reason is because what you're saying then is if this one thing changed, then everything else in the match would have been the same and then I would have won. And that's a big stretch. So, and I think also Mr. Navarrete had a point that, well, you should have come up with this at the time. You can't change it after the fact. So I think the only fair thing we can do is go along with Andy's recommendation and change it to no contest. Because for me, it's a stretch to believe that, oh, he got hit in that exact spot and we could see it. I even took a screenshot of it because I watched the video frame by frame last night. So you could see he got hit in that exact spot and that's the exact spot we had to cut. And that just seems like a huge stretch. But then you can also see on the film that the judge is on the other side. So the judge couldn't have seen that unless he could see through. Obviously, you can't see through the other boxer. So I think given all the facts that we have at this point, that the only fair thing to do is to rule it a no contest. And if they can have a rematch, that would be great. And we'll all go watch it.
Thank you. I was there. It was a bang, bang type of action. And from my view, very hard to see. I didn't get a chance, like many of the boxing talking heads, to see different views of the punch. And I think our team did a great job based on what we saw at that moment. Unlike the NBA or NFL, our review of situations like this is only between the rounds, so it's a minute. We don't delay or take a long time to review so that we don't give anybody an advantage to any of the participants. But we strive for excellence at this commission. We want to be accountable. Our priorities are fairness and safety. In this case, I think we're addressing both. Obviously, safety for Mr. Navarrete's cut and fairness to Mr. Suarez. And believe me, we were on top of this immediately. Even Sunday morning, we were talking about what would be appropriate. So I'd like to make a motion to change the win to a no contest.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment from folks in the room? You please come up to the podium and give your name, and you have 5 minutes to make your remarks. Oh, I'm sorry. On the button on the bottom.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Navalta. I'm the manager for Charlie Suarez team. So I'm glad to see that, most of my presentation was going to be based on the fact that, was it a punch or was it a headbutt, right? That was the biggest part of the question at hand. I think that our only concern is feeling robbed, of course, of a win based on what we found to be in accordance with California Code of Regulations, Title 4, Division 2, Chapter 1, Article 5, Section 368, which authorized the Commission to investigate and address any contest and under which the evidence is irregularities or misapplication of rules affecting the outcome of the match. We've undisputedly determined that the evidence clearly shows the injury was caused by a punch. I don't think there's been anybody here said that it wasn't. And our understanding of the unified rules of boxing, which are obviously enforced by the California State Athletic Commission, is that if a cut is caused by a legal punch, which we've determined it is, and the fight is stopped because of that cut, which it was, the injured boxer loses by technical knockout, TKO. So although we are very understanding of the fact that everybody is really getting a fair shake in the match, it's determined that you guys have voted as a no contest. We feel it should have been ruled a TKO, and we'd like that for the record, primarily because these are the kind of things that these boxers, they go out their whole life I'm born here in California. I'm an American citizen, but I live in the Philippines and I'm of Filipino descent. And I tell you, when you understand a different lifestyle in the Philippines, what these guys go through from nothing to being on that stage, to lose a fight and feel like you were not given the fair shake, that's something else. I mean, that's a feeling as Americans, to be honest with you. It's really tough because we get a pretty fair shake here in the U.S. So I just want to make it on record that we, of course, you know, respect the decisions of the CSAC, and we would only ask that if there's going to be a mandatory rematch, that there be a time limit set on that. If you could add that into your ruling, and that's basically what it is. We really feel like at the end of the day, you know, every boxer, no matter where they're from, the Philippines, the U.S., or whatever, at the end of the day, they're required to sit in that rules meeting before the fight. They're required to know the rules, including the managers, the boxers, the coaches, everybody else. And when a rules clearly states that it should have been a TKO, that's where we believe it should be. Again, we respect the decision of the commission, and we're very thankful that we'll get to rematch this fight again. The only request that I have in addition is if we can make a time period. And we don't want to do it a year from now or whenever they decide that it's time. You know, this kid has already been deprived of his moment. You know, even to be awarded, if he was awarded by TKO today, he's lost that moment. And that's by no fault of anybody. I agree with what the, you know, everybody has put on record today about the being there and everything else. Everybody, including, you know, everybody, including the judges, the officials that were there, even Top Rank, some of the others are confused about what was the real ruling. So I do understand that. And I thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak on behalf of Charlie Suarez and the team. And we look forward to the next rematch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, just quickly about the time limit on the rematch. Now, in preparation for this hearing, I did reach out to the WBO, and they have ordered the automatic rematch. Okay, that's not for this commission to be involved with, but I wanted to have that information for you.
Thank
Okay?
you.
A time limit on that is not within this commission's purview. That would be between the World Boxing Organization and Top Rank and the fighters.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Any other public comments from folks in the room? Hearing none. Anyone online that has some comments?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon that's at the bottom of your WebEx screen. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. And we do have a request for comment from Carl Moretti. Carl, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, Andy. Hi, commission members. Thank you for taking the time. Respect to everyone involved in coming up with a difficult decision as we saw that night in San Diego. We will adhere to whatever rulings you guys have. And obviously, if the WBO orders the rematch, which they have, we'll put forth our best effort to get it done in a timely fashion for everybody involved.
Thank you. Thanks, Carl. Anyone else online?
Yeah, I do not see any other requests for comment. Shall I close the public comment feature?
Please.
Thank you.
Andy, can you take the vote, please?
Yes, sir. This is to make the decision and Commissioner Patricia, if the vote's affirmative, if you can change it immediately into BoxRec. Commissioner Wedge?
Aye.
Commissioner Hendrickson? Commissioner Gravel?
Aye.
Commissioner and Dr. DeMars?
Aye.
Chairman Villegas?
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Williams?
Aye.
Motion passes 5.
Motion passes thank you. We've changed the ruling to a no contest. In terms of the rematch, I think we did our part in the process to get that. And I'm glad that the WBO and Tom Frank are looking forward to it as well. I think it'd be a fantastic rematch. Would love to have it in California. And I think we did a good job throughout this process to show that we are committed to accountability. And we want to right any wrongs that we make. So thank you for that. And thank you for your leadership on that, Andy.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the next item is the review and possible action on petition to change the decision for Cesar Francis and Emiliano Moreno bout on February 19th, 2025 in Jamestown, California.
Mr. Chairman, this is a judgment call appeal. And in 18 years, I've never put a judgment call appeal on an agenda or asked to have one put. But the commissioners need to look at this one. Okay, I was there. Mr. Francis was what you'd call the B side. He was the B side. He was way ahead. He was up 4-2 on the cards. And the CSAC referee that I assigned, Mr. Stale, stopped the fight. And I've got no explanation for it. And I'm not trying to, usually I will sit here and defend stoppage, but in this situation, I got pretty, I certainly got to talk with folks afterwards, and I didn't even have a thing to say. Just yell at me because it was bad.
Yep.
Okay, do we have video?
Yes. There may be a commercial.
There may be a commercial, okay.
Good little shot there with Moreno as well. Moreno, again, his pressure is more consistent in that round. I gave Moreno that last round. I've got it 4-2.
The commissioner to get out. The referee paused for a second.
Sometimes those guys are slow with those inspectors.
Yeah, sometimes it takes them a second. This one's scheduled for 10. We're on round number 7. You're just joining us. Cesar Francis in the multicolored trunks had a great first 4 rounds. Emiliano Moreno in the gold trunks, undefeated, starting to come on late, and wondering when he would wake up. Known for his combinations, his aggression, has not really been on display consistently throughout this fight.
Good tactical fight. I think regardless, this is a good learning curve fight for Moreno. He's got to think his way through against a savvy veteran here, in a competitive fight. You feel the urgency, you feel a little bit of a pressure. It's a fight you got to win, but it's not handed to you. You can't just go find the guy and beat him up. You got to sort of work your way through it. It's a good thinking fight. Good hook there from Francis on the out.
Now Moreno feeling comfortable getting inside, Paulie.
And why is that? Because Francis is not jabbing. Francis is, or when he is jabbing, it's not as much emphasis on the jab. So again, Moreno is sort of getting a free ride coming forward, starting to back up Francis and taking the confidence away from Francis. And that's what Francis got to get back to doing. He just gave a foot feint there and it stopped Moreno. You got to punch him between the foot feints, and Francis stopped doing that for a while.
Good straight punching in from Francis, but answering right back is Moreno, straight right hand. Francis going back a little bit to the counter punch, you call it.
Yeah, little combination there by Francis. Again, a lot of nip and tuck lines here.
30 seconds left in the round. Nice left hook, right hand combination.
Yeah, Francis going out a little bit too high. Moreno catches him.
First time he's had him hurt.
What was that? Are you kidding me? Wow. Wow. Like, you talk about a better.
Okay. That was pretty clear. Any comments or questions from our commissioners?
The-
Mr. Wedge?
I have a procedural question, and that is the petition before us is on a claim of collusion. And so I don't know that we have the authority to act on some other issue, no matter how relevant it is to us, when the petition is specific to collusion. And I have read through this agenda item and I've seen no evidence presented that there was any sort of collusion.
Yes, it was not collusion, sir. It was a misapplication of the rules.
Well, the
Okay.
petition before us is claiming collusion. So do we have the authority to act on a petition for some other item other than what the petition is filed for?
Mr. Ken?
The commission can look at any of the grounds for changing the decision based upon the petition itself.
Was that maybe a clerical error? Did he intend to say it was collusion?
No. I spoke with them on the phone. They believe it's a misapplication of the rules.
Okay, we're clear on that, Mr. Ken?
Correct.
Okay.
Commission can look at any of the grounds available to change the decision once a petition is being heard.
Okay. Do we have a motion to change?
I would move that we change the decision to a no contest, but make it clear that we don't believe there was any evidence of collusion, that was requested in error, but that the decision itself, it didn't appear at all that the boxer was not able to intelligently defend himself, which is what would usually be the reason for a stoppage like that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion to change the decision to a no contest. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comments from folks in the room? Hearing none. Any public comments from folks online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 5 minutes. Any comments on the motion? I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes.
Thanks.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Foster, can you take the vote?
Commissioner Wedge?
Aye.
Commissioner Gruelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. DeMars?
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Williams?
Aye.
Chairman Villegas?
Aye.
Motion passes, sir.
Motion passes, and I'd just like to say that we are committed to evaluating all of the performance of all of our judges, referees, inspectors. So that's how we base our decisions on appointing for various events. And we're committed to improving on our performance. Thank you very much, folks. Now I'm going to change the agenda for a bit here because we have a strategic planning session that will take some time. So I'm going to hold our discussion unless we have a constraints, time constraints to discuss Commerce Casino right now, or can we delay it? Commerce, or
It's whatever you'd like to do.
is someone here from Commerce? Does he want to speak?
I don't know. Is or not.
Okay. Let's just have a quick discussion on item number 7. Discussion regarding Commerce Casino's proposed fees increase on combative sports promoters and update on other alternative venues in the area. Mr. Foster?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, as you know, and as we discussed many times, Commerce Casino is one of the events that the commission promoters have been using very frequently, and we've approved that venue for use. And you can see the sheer number of events that the commission is running there. With the amateur program last year, I believe we were there more than half of the year for the weekends. And we've had a very, very good relationship with Commerce Casino over the years. We know the security staff, we know the people there. It's been a very, very good, very, very good relationship. What I would suggest, sir, the update I'm providing to you is recently, and Steve Bash, I think, is on the phone or on the Zoom, so he can relay this a little bit more eloquently, but they've had an increase in their cost for doing their security and doing their things. And the promoters that we have that have been running there are not providing the number of people that can meet the new food and beverage minimums. Now, I was recently told this morning that it's now 40,000 instead of 50,000. And if that's the case, that may change the equation with some of our larger promoters that run there. But it's been a good relationship, but we're going to have to start seeking the new venues like we've got the setup in Orange County. And the commission's going to see a drop off this year from Commerce Casino events. And I'm just wanting to make the commissioners aware of that. We're seeking, but it's like turning a ship. It doesn't move that quick. So we've got to find some new places to open up so the promoters can get approved and go to these places. And so our numbers for this year may be down a little bit, okay, because that's our largest venue, and I'm expecting a decline. The commission run 18 pro events there in 2024, and I think the amateur program did 5 more. I'm expecting somewhere around half that for this coming year. And you can see the ramp up in your packet. In 2021, there was 3, and then the outside venue, I call it the tent, but it's not just a tent. It's a very nice structure. You've all been there. Yeah. 20 events in 2023, 18 in 2024. We've run 7 so far this year, and with the new increases, I don't believe that we're going to run too many more for the rest of the year because the promoters have canceled all their permits with us. So,
okay. This is not an action item, but I welcome any comments or questions from fellow commissioners.
Well, since I have a hometown bias, we had an event on the Santa Monica Pier. Santa Monica's there.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, I believe there's a lot of cities that would welcome more activity in their community. I welcome any public comment from folks in the room. Okay, we have one. You can sit at the table and the mic and introduce yourself, please. And we'll give you 5 minutes for your remarks.
Mr. Chairman and members, Dennis Sloper for the Commerce Casino.
Can you turn your mic on?
It's got a green light, I'm sorry. Dennis Sloper representing Commerce Casino. The issue to us is really one issue and one issue alone. We have a contract that we only let with the promoter. I think our disappointment with the commission is that this was agendized with our name on the agenda, and frankly, didn't even have the courtesy to tell us. We found out from another source that we were even on the agenda because we have never lobbied before the commission. We don't read your monthly agendas, which I guess we will start be doing now. We believe that the costs are substantially higher than have been reflected. What I will tell you is that our security costs go up substantially with your events. It's just a different group of people that sometimes we feel we have to add on substantial security to make sure that we're protecting our employees and also those other people that are attending the venue. It's very simple. It's a contract issue, and our contract is with the promoter. We didn't expect to have to even appear before you all, and we would have expected not to do anything other than that. I know that one of your representatives has been to Commerce with the promoters, but and there's apparently an email from a former employee. But if you read her email, that's a 2-day event, so that would have been over $54,000. we just, and by the way, she's no longer with the company. She didn't have the authority to write the email. So with that, I'm glad to answer any questions, but our biggest concern is that you would agendize our company by name, not by saying a venue operator, and then not have the time or ability to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In regards to notification, we give out public notification. That's one of our top priorities. And for a venue that hosts up to 20 events for us, and the relationship that we have, we would assume that, and that's what they say about assuming, that you'd be concerned about our commission and what we do regarding boxing and MMA activities. So I'm glad that you'll be able to pay attention to our public notices in the future, and we'll do our part in trying to improve communication.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from folks in the room? Any online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a public comment, you can look for the hand icon and click that. We do have 3 people in line. Let's see, our first is Roy Engelbrecht. Roy, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic, and you'll have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning.
Thank you. Am I on, Commissioner?
You are.
Yes. Roy Engelbrecht. By age and by years of license, I'm the oldest promoter in the state of California. And I've done shows at more venues than any other promoter in California over the last 20 years. First of all, you have to understand that to stage a basic pro fight show without TV and not lose your shirt, not lose your house, and not lose your marriage, you need a minimum of 1,000 seats. And that's why the Commerce Casino was so attractive to promoters and the deal was so good. You know, it's been a pretty much free ride for promoters over the last 8 to 10 years. Their initial agreement was $25,000 against food and beverage. So if you could put a lot of butts in seats on a Saturday night and they bought beer and food, and you did and the casino did $25,000 in food and beverage, you, in fact, as the promoter, had no rent to pay. That is a heck of a deal. It was the best venue agreement in all of Southern California, because I've done agreements with pretty much from the Crypto Arena to the Forum to the hangar at the OC Fair and Event Center. It was a great deal. Promoters, the onus was on them promoters to put butts in seats. If promoters are not going to put 1,000 people or 900 people on a Saturday night, they have no one but themselves to blame for, in fact, having more rent. I can understand, having done 15 years at the hangar at the OC Fair and Event Center, I can see where Commerce Casino was coming from. Their $25,000 over the years was a heck of a deal, but not a very good deal for them. They had cost of goods, staffing, utilities, janitorial, security, etc., etc. And it just didn't cover. When you put all those costs together, their food and beverage profit pretty much was nil. And they were giving the promoter a free venue. Certainly the promoter was very attractive at Commerce. It had a lighting truss in there that they charged, but that charge was probably half what a normal promoter would have to pay at another venue. I just think that's the cost of doing business. If you want to be a promoter, you want to do shows, you want to do at the Commerce Casino, you've got to work hard every single day to try to make some money. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. Moderator?
Thank you. Yeah, we do have 2 more requests for comment. One is from JT Steele. And JT, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic, and you'll have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning.
Okay, Ann, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, Chairman, just wanted to share a couple thoughts. We've appreciated our longstanding relationship with the Commerce Casino. We have been there for many, many years. I think Andy mentioned, I think last year combined, we did at least 10 shows there. I think just Camo without CSAC being there, I think we have another 6 on the schedule that are questionable now for the rest of the year. We've had wonderful shows there, and we hope that the Commerce Casino appreciates the crowds and so forth that our stakeholders bring to their venue. I hope that they reciprocate the appreciation that we have for them. But it is starting to get to a point where we're uncertain if these promoters are going to be able to continue to operate under these circumstances. They have very, very high insurance requirements that are very difficult to find insurance for. And we understand that they're risk procedures and they have the right to do so. But there are costs that do go to the promoters that make it very expensive to be there, and they're increasing. The one thing that I'd just like to bring up is that we go to these events and they're fantastic, and the security there is top notch, and we appreciate that. But these events are quite intoxicating, not in a literal sense, but in a figurative sense, that it looks very luxurious and that everybody's making a tremendous amount of money. But I just remind the Commerce Casino is that the margins for promotions are very, very thin, especially with the limited amount of seats that we can put in there. We can have a fantastic show, but the margins are thin. We want to be able to move forward in the future at Commerce. And we hope that this doesn't feel like an attack, because it's certainly not that. I think what it is, it's a cry from the stakeholders saying, we want to be there. We hope that they can listen to us and that we can be able to continue to use this as one of our great venues in Southern California, that we can work together. So not being antagonistic from our stakeholders, but more of just a plea to hopefully be able to come to the bargaining table and make this sustainable for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, JT.
And our next request for comment is from Stephen Bash. Stephen, I'll send you a request to unmute your mic, and you'll have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good morning, Chairman Villegas and commissioners. So I don't keep count of how many shows I promote like other promoters, but I believe I've promoted over 20 shows at Commerce Casino, predating what we call the tent at Commerce. And there's a ballroom on the second floor where I used to do shows. When I first started promoting shows, Commerce actually paid us $25,000 as a sponsorship. When more promoters came in there for free, that sponsorship went away. The food and beverage minimums actually started at $15,000, then increased to $25,000. At the end of 2024, I did receive an email, and typically Commerce would request for our dates 12 months in advance. And we did our best to try to set our schedule for at least 6 months in advance. But I did receive an email that the minimums would go up to $27,000. In order to, reach such a large minimum, we strategically try to make certain type of shows. So we've started, doing Pro-Am shows with both Camo and CSAC. But, thanks to Executive Director, Mr. Foster, we've had some exceptions made in terms of the number of fights and bouts that we can put on for every show, because the reality is the only way to hit, very large minimums is to increase the number of bouts and hopefully have fighters that will attract more attendance. My box office numbers, I believe, are double, if not triple, to other promoters that have had events at Commerce Casino. We've been averaging about $140,000 box offices at Commerce, but part of the reason why is because we've had to significantly increase. When I first started Commerce, we were doing about 8 or 9 bouts per show. We're now up to, we just had a show last Saturday, a couple of days ago, and we had 16 fights, 17 fights scheduled, 1 fell out, but we've done shows up to about 20 bouts. It's a very long night. It's about a 6 or 7 hour show. But part of the reason why we have to do it is to, make sure, as Roy mentioned, we don't lose our shirts. I think the biggest fear for any promoter, especially when we were under the impression that we were going to have a $27,000 minimum, and overnight, 2 months later, it went up to $50,000, is if a lot of fights fall through or you have a very bad night, you're now looking at potentially a $20,000, $30,000 debt that you owe to the venue. And that's a very scary proposition for, as you know, a lot of promoters that are in this business are worried about their marriages and business endeavors. And so, as JT mentioned, this isn't an attack. This, everyone enjoys Commerce for various reasons. The location is great, right in between Los Angeles and Orange County. The staff is great. We get along with all security. I think some of the security costs also increase when you do a 6 to 8 hour show as opposed to a 3 or 4 hour show. But at some point, working within those small, thin margins, we have no choice but to try to, make sure that, we do something that's economically feasible. But it has gone to the point where, it's like having a landlord that, gives you a certain understanding of a lease, even though it's a per bout contract, and then overnight, doubles your rent. And so, I don't want to say it's necessarily predatory in nature, but it is difficult knowing when we have to plan shows 2, 3, 4, 6 months in advance, what our deal is going to be. And I'm not surprised that many other promoters, simply can't even take those chances, because we've become very creative and we've become very, increasing in what we can produce and what we can do in order to be able to kind of work within those parameters. So, hopefully in the future there's a mutually understandable deal or arrangement that I think works for both parties. I think Commerce is also unique as opposed to other venues like the Hangar and other places where it's up to the promoter just to do a lot of work and do
30
great
seconds.
work. But, there is a casino there. Our fans stay there till 3 a.m, gambling and using the hotel and other facilities. So I think there's a lot of mutually beneficial aspects to it. But for discussion purposes, we are at a point where it may be a breaking point for a lot of promoters, including myself.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. I'd just like to say publicly, we love and appreciate Commerce Casino, and we've enjoyed our family of boxing and MMA at Commerce. And I hope that we can reach a consensus and some sort of agreement on making it a win-win situation, especially since the events take place actually on a parking lot. And we're able to make this, the parking lot, a revenue generator with our activities. And I hope that we can move forward in a positive way on that. Commissioner, any?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that we obviously value Commerce, and obviously Commerce takes this very seriously, or they would not have sent Mr. Loper here, to engage with us. And so the fact that this was agendized was not in any way, shape, or form meant to disparage Commerce. The budget of the commission is so thin that if we have even 2 or 3 events fall through, we're upside down. And that's why every time something like this occurs, it's really just informational for us. But I mean, the public and the promoters who testified need to know that we don't have any authority. We hope that Commerce can make it work from a business perspective so we can continue, but we do appreciate working with Commerce.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Now we're going to change the agenda because I want to be respectful for everybody's time. So we're going to have quick updates from the delegated entities, like the California Mixed Martial Arts Organization, USA Boxing, and then we're going to go into the strategic planning session. So, Andy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the delegated entities, I guess since JT was on the line, we could start with JT Steele.
JT?
I'm here. I don't know if you can see me, but hopefully you can hear me. I'll be quick. I know that you guys have a lot on the agenda today with the strategic planning. So we've had a a really good springtime going into the summer months. I think between Camo and CSAC, May was extremely busy, and we just wanted to express our gratitude to Mr. Foster and the staff there in the office. We had a lot of pro-ams, and there were weekends where we were working in full capacity hand in hand, but we had a phenomenal month, I think, as an entire state, and especially from the amateur programs. I think the highlight from my report that I shared with you is for a long time, we've been looking for ways that we can more efficiently train inspectors and officials, and we've tried different type of online things before, but what we're doing is we're launching, and it'll be done in probably the next quarter, online testing for our inspectors. I think this is really going to raise the standard for inspectors, especially for new inspectors, that they can come in and get education and then get testing so that we know that they're learning the basics before they start. Now, that's not something that you see a lot of at CSAC, because a lot of the inspectors that you get have already been trained through the amateurs. And so they're a more refined product where we get people who have no experience in inspecting. And so we're really, really excited about online learning and using artificial intelligence to create quizzes and testing. We think it's going to provide a tremendous opportunity for our inspectors, and we hope that the product that we're providing with new inspectors to CSAC over the next year will be even better. Very excited about that. That's really the highlight, other than we've had a great safety record and we've had a great events since the last meeting.
Thank you, JT.
Any questions for me?
No, keep doing the tremendous job that you're doing, and the success for the organization. Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you for the trust.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, next, I see Tony Fossum's here with us in person from the IKF.
Hi, Tony.
Good morning. So for our quarterly report, as you can see, over the last quarter, we have had 5 amateur kickboxing Muay Thai events, all of them very well attended. We have had promoters locally up north here as well as down south that are not only having full cards, but they're having full houses. They're selling out crowds. So the Muay Thai scene in California is still extremely strong. We're very proud of that. Kind of a common theme that seems to be amongst the entities is the training of officials and making sure that our referees, judges, and inspectors are current and up to date and staying ahead of the game, so to speak. So on this coming weekend, June 8th, we have a referee training that's happening down in Southern California, specifically just for those who want to be referees or those who are already training as referees but are updating and making sure that they're staying ahead with the progress of the sport. So that is happening in Chino, California this weekend. One of the other things that we are doing besides ongoing trainings for our officials is that we have made it mandatory for all of our officials to either complete if they are new with us or update if they have been with us for a while, the concussion protocol for junior fighters. So, excuse me. Most of our officials have already gone through and updated that. We still have a few, and especially after the training this weekend, we'll make sure that the rest of our officials are updated with that protocol. I listed our upcoming events calendar for you here. Hoping that maybe some of the commissioners can come and visit some of our events. I have already spoken to the 2 different promoters having events on July 12th. One is in Sacramento, one is in Los Angeles, so hopefully cover the areas that you all live in. They are more than welcome to accommodate any commissioners who want to come, of course, with complimentary admission, ringside seating and everything, but we would love to have you come and watch some of our events. On our calendar of upcoming events, one of the ones that we are most excited about, of course, is our IKF World Classic, which is actually held in Las Vegas. This will be our second year in Las Vegas. But we have quite a few California fighters that come out and not only try to win the tournament titles, but we have 3 certified IKF championship titles happening. We have a certified USA title, North American title, and amateur world title happening on that card on Saturday night. So very excited about that. We have a couple of California fighters that are actually challenging for those titles. So those are going to be extremely competitive fights. So, and it's all going to be live stream. So if for some reason on, July 19th, you have nothing better to do, you can hop on the live stream and see those certified titles. Other than that, just everything is positive. Like I said, we're working hard to keep our officials up to date. Promoters are happy. We do have some promoters that are also challenged with the Commerce Casino thing. So we are hoping as well that something can be worked out there for our promoters. But other than that, as you can see, we have quite a few events still coming up over the summer, and actually our fall is shaping up really well.
Great.
You have any questions?
Any questions? No? Thank you, Tony, for your leadership. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Waco, the WAKO, they're next.
Okay. They're online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead,
good
Tom.
afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Thomas.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be here. I always enjoy the California Athletic Committee meetings because I attend quite a few, and most of them are very quick and not very informative. So I'm glad to be here as usual.
Thank you.
So just a quick recap of what we've done. From March until May, we had 6 events in California. We had 45 bouts, total of 147 rounds. And we're very active with the doctors and the officials, keeping everybody safe. And we do stay on top of suspensions. We did have 15 suspensions due to TKOs or referee stoppages, but there were no major injuries. And reading through the doctor's notes, there's no heightened concerns. Nobody was transported. So we're keeping the fighters safe, which of course is job number 1. As I think the commission is aware, WACO holds the certification through the International Olympic Committee as supplying kickboxers if that becomes fully recognized with the Olympics. And in that regard, what we are able to do is take part in all of the events that are put on by the Olympic Committee. So we'll be going to the World Games this year and the World Combat Games. I will be refereeing myself. I'm the director of training for WACO USA for all of the officials. So we're very happy about that. There were only 6 officials worldwide chosen for the World Games for the Olympic Committee. So I'm happy about that. I'm going to bring back that experience. We have a Class A officials course coming up in a couple of months. So that is going to really up the game, I think, for that type of training. I think with the report that we submitted, I'm not sure. I don't want to just go through each event. Are there any questions for me?
No questions, Tom.
All right. Well, thank you again. We really do enjoy the professionalism in the state of California. We're hoping to ramp it up a lot more this year. The events have been going very well, and that, of course, is in great part to a set of rules that is understandable and consistently applied from the commission. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for your comments on our performance in California. where we are the best state in the United States. So that's par for the course. So thank you for that. And we hope we continue with your organization. Next is anyone from USA Boxing on the line or in the room to present? No?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sorry. Yes. Let's see. Mike, have you been able to unmute your microphone? Mike McAtee is here.
Yes,
There
can you
should
hear
be.
me?
There
Yeah,
you
hey.
go. Yes.
Hey, Mike.
Good morning, good afternoon, Chairman Villegas and committee. Like was said earlier, we understand you have a very busy schedule for the last part of this meeting. So I'd like to just hit a few highlights in regards to our submitted report. I'm hopeful that most of you are aware that on March 20th, 2025, the International Olympic Committee re-included Olympic-style boxing into the LA 28 Olympic Games. Boxing was off the program up until that point. Like Paris, a couple of things have happened that are really exciting, especially when it comes to gender equity and inclusion. As you recall, in Paris, there were 7 men weight classes and 6 women's weight classes. In LA, there is an inclusion of another women's weight class. So we'll have 7 men's weight classes that'll be contested, 7 women's weight classes. The other exciting part about boxing at the Olympic level, we're the only sport that has 4 medal opportunities, a gold, a silver, and 2 bronze. So we'll have 56 medal opportunities as we are part of Team USA in LA. One of the big statements that has been made that the LA Olympic Games will be the largest sporting event in the history of the world, with comparable to multiple Super Bowls going on every day during the Olympics and the Paralympics. So we're excited to be back into the Olympic movement. A couple of highlights. We believe that the change in requirements for ambulances will start seeing an uptick in sanctions events. In the first quarter, the sanction events, we had over 1,200 contested bouts. And the other thing that we do think and we thought would happen, as of now, we have 7,311 registered members of USA Boxing, from coaches, officials, physicians, and boxers. That is a 8.49% increase above last year. And last year was the largest membership year in the history of USA Boxing, with over 65,000 members. So that's the good news. The not so good news is the state of Texas has 7,606, but they're actually less than a percentage point below last year. So you're definitely increasing a membership where they're staying flat. So I do think that is being seen as a direct result of the possibility of more events. So we want to thank you for that. The other component, high performance athletes and California athletes and boxers in the first quarter participated in acclimation camps along with officials and and coaches. So USA Boxing invested in California athletes over $33,000 to be able for them to come out to camps, competitions as we move forward. And a highlight that we had in the first, right at the end of the first quarter, was USA Boxing's dedicated international open event. What we have decided and moving forward this year is to welcome, as part of leading up to LA 28, to get USA Boxing boxers more international competitions. So a total participation of 653 boxers, coaches, and officials, and 4 physicians. Of them, 45 were California boxers, 53 coaches, and 1 official. They contested the ages division of elite age, which is 18 and above, youth 16 and 17, and then juniors, which are 15 and 16. Of those contested California boxers, 2 male boxers took home championships, 1 in the elite division and 1 in the youth. And then, which has been a strategic goal of USA Boxing, is increase female participation, where 4 female boxers from the 3 from the junior division and 1 from the youth also brought home championships. We believe this is a good start. We will be also hosting here in Colorado later this year an all-female tournament with an emphasis on not only the boxers, but coaches, administrators, and officials that will be reporting on. And we do expect a high turnout of California boxers and coaches for that event. And to follow a little bit of the same theme of our colleagues in the combat sports, again, focusing on education. Earlier this year, we conducted 2 officials clinics and then 1 bronze coaching education course, with more scheduled for later this year. So we believe that the first quarter has been very exciting, and we look forward to the second quarter. I will let you know, and I know it's a little bit out of you all's way, but USA Boxing will be hosting our Junior Olympics and a summer festival in Las Vegas in June, which will be our largest boxing tournament ever. We'll have 5 boxing rings, over 1,300 boxers competing over 6 days. Not only will it be a USA event, it will also feature international boxers, and we will have observers coming in from the International Olympic Committee and representatives from the LA 28 hosting group. So if anyone would be interested, please shoot me an email and we can make arrangements. We'll be hosting at the end of that tournament on Friday and Saturday a USA Boxing alumni event, which will have a lot of our historical alumni from the Olympic style boxing to professional boxing. So we do believe it will be a celebration of Olympic style boxing as we start down the road of on the road to LA. So thank you very much for your time. Any questions?
Any questions? No? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Corey Schaefer from the ISKA is next.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'd just
Hey,
like
Corey.
to take this out. Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And in the interest of time, I know you have a very busy schedule. We've submitted a quarterly report, which does, illustrate our recent events and our upcoming events. I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank the Commission for the continuing privilege of serving the people of California in the unique and special way that regulating martial arts and combat sports events does. I'd like to publicly recognize the extraordinary efforts of our State Director, Anthony Casada, whose leadership has been quite frankly remarkable in expanding his own skills, taking advantage of CSEC events to shadow, learn, grow, and develop, to exercise leadership by example for all of the officials that we work with. I'd like to personally thank Ms. Blackstock for always being accessible. And as someone said earlier, I listen, I plug into the entire Commission meeting because I like to, I find faith that there are commissions that are doing the actual work. And it honestly, as a regulator, it gives me strength. So thank you for a culture that is reflective of safety, fairness, and advancing those causes. And it's, like I said, it's a privilege to continue to be able to serve the commission and the people of the state of California.
Thank you very much, Corey. We appreciate the support. Any questions for Corey? No. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, last I checked, Joe Stevenson wasn't on. Okay, he just joined. So Joe Stevenson from the United States Fight League is on.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, sir. Sorry, I was having some internet issues, but I was set this to call in. My apologies, everyone. I just want to kind of fill everyone in on how the year has went and where it's going for the United States Fight League. We've had the last event since the last CSAC meeting was on the 27th of April, the national championships. We had, I believe it was around 277 competitions. There was no injuries that were serious. This was one of the best events that we've ever thrown. Using Facilitron, we were able to use the La Costra High School gymnasium, and it was a great success. We were very proud of how it ran. The kids that qualified to go to the IMAF World Championships, I believe there was 82, because they now opened it up for the 10 and 11-year-old divisions, which we were also very excited about. IMAF has passed the second stage of the Sports Accord membership acceptance to be recognized by the IOC as the amateur MMA sanctioning body for them. There's, I believe, about 3 more stages that they'll have to pass to finally be with them, but that is also very exciting. This being stated, the USFL would like to ask for the commission to consider ambulance waiver for all events that are within 30 minutes of a hospital and under 15 minutes ambulance response time. This will allow for the athletes to fall under the golden hour of advanced life support. We've had 5,316 athlete exposures with no serious injuries. The data that was turned in on the last commission meeting will support this for everyone. And I'm just kind of hoping that the commission would consider maybe talking about it and going over it for the next meeting. Upcoming events, there was a King of the Cage event that happened this weekend with no serious injuries. I do not have those statistics on there because I turned in the report prior to give everyone a little bit of information on that. And then the IMAF World Championships are going to be in July in Abu Dhabi, and we're excited, just raising money for all the kids to try to get their entry fees turned in.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from my fellow commissioners? No, Andy? No?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Andy.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to change and we're going to go into our strategic planning session.
So could we just really quick talk about number 8, the discussion about the unified rules?
Okay, scratch that. We're going to have a quick discussion on item number 8, discussion about the incorporation of Association of Boxing Commissions and Combative Sports unified rules for all combat sports that the commission oversees and regulates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is commissioners, this is kind of a big issue. If you could turn to to your booklet, agenda item number 8. And I would ask Mark Relier if he could come up and brief the commissioners on this particular issue. The commission may or may not be aware, the commission does not use the unified rules of boxing for all of the events that we regulate in the state. Okay, it creates an interest in confusion with TV when we deal with television on a very regular basis. And the question that we've gotten, and we've gotten it ever since my tenure, are we using California rules or are we using the unified rules? And there's not a lot of differences. The differences are outlined in the memo that I provided to you. But that unintentional foul difference is not insignificant. Those are not the same things. And it would seem to me that my recommendation to the commission, and I made this recommendation to this commission almost 13 years ago, and it was turned down. So feel free to turn me down again. But I believe it would be in the best interest of the state for uniformity's purposes if we were all using the same rules across all of the states. And there's not a lot of difference between the two, but that unintentional foul rule, as we've saw today, is interesting. Mark, would you like to brief the commissioners on this issue? Because this is an issue.
Sure. Just quick clarification.
No, sir, it's not. It's a discussion because you would have to form a subcommittee or something, or you could just say, put it on the agenda next time and we'll take an action on it. Because I don't think you.
Excuse me. I'm Mark Relier, your Chief Inspector, State of California Athletic Commission. Interestingly, for years, we've had a conversation from major television, each and every broadcast. They want to know what type of rules are being used because they feel a responsibility to inform the public. Many times we have basically championship fights, of course, are used the unified rules, and then we use the California state rules, and there's significant differences. One of the big ones is when a round ends, what makes a fight, and it matters a lot when there's an accidental foul. Also, a lot of times a point of interest is the way a fight will end. You know, in the state of California, using the California rules, you can be saved by the bell in the last round. They need to explain that to their viewing audience before the fight starts. In the unified rule, no such rule exists. You cannot be saved by the bell. So these are the type of things with the different rules that we try to mitigate. A lot of times there'll be a conversation between the executive officer and I, and before we talk to television about, you know, what type of rules we can go ahead and adapt. We like to allow television to have their broadcast and allow them to use one set of rules for clarity for the public who we serve. And typically, the preferred rules are the championship fights demand the unified rules. And of course, the California rules, it's just easier to adapt the unified rules than the California fights. And we've been doing that. As combative sports advance, we see that the unified rules are gone over a lot more. We have an executive officer that's very active and participates in it. And we're just looking for further clarification about basically using the unified rules more.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Any questions?
Yeah, it seems like having two different sets of rules would be a point of confusion for the athletes, for the officials, for the viewing public. So given that, historically, there must have been some reason, right? What was the argument for having two sets of rules in the first place?
Commissioner Mars, the California Commission's been around for a long time. Last year was the centennial, 101 years. These rules that the commission uses have been on the books for a very long time. Okay, many of them. The unified rules of boxing, I'm not saying it's a new creation, but it's a newer creation. Okay, the ABC is a newer Association of Boxing Commissions is a newer creation than the California State Athletic Commission. The California Commission historically, and I can only go on what I was told by Chairman Frierson, but the California Commission from what I was told, did not want to accept these rules, or did not want to accept the ABC rules. And it's not come up again. With the Charlie Suarez appeal on the thing, and we're realizing, hey, we could get bid on this in the future if this was the wrong round, I thought that it was at least worth having the discussion with the commissioners again about this, because as Mark and I will tell you, I can't tell you the number of times where when I say number of times, this commission runs hundreds of events a year. So think of the number of times where we say, okay, the first 10 bouts are California rules, the last 3 are the unified rules. That's odd. And there's not a lot of difference between the two of them, but on these big fights like the Charlie Suarez fight or the Navarrete fight, this could matter. And I'm just trying to get ahead of it because it's been a little while. And this would, in my opinion, my recommendation to the commissioners would be, I believe that a legislative fix would be the most appropriate way to go about this, because you could incorporate by reference. If you try to do this through regulation, you'll be doing regulations a lot, because there are changes to the unified rules from time to time.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, we shouldn't be abdicating our responsibility to and giving our authority to the ABC for the fact that you just raised. That every time they change a rule, then we disagree with it, we have to come back and do another rule package, right? That's why in legislation we don't like list national bodies to set standards in California, because it's a frankly an inappropriate delegation of state authority to abdicate that to some national group. And so I'm not sure that we should be doing that. If we do, we should go through a process. But I also don't think that it's a we could adopt rules on an item by item basis that synergize California with the ABC, like on the Saved by the Bell, or when you take a point off for a particular foul or whatnot. The one that jumps out at me is I don't think that I think that the ringside doctor should have the ability to stop a fight, not just the referee.
That one's in the law, sir. That one wouldn't change. That's in the unified.
So
that's just, we just gave you the rules, but
okay. So that's in statute. So I mean, there is an ability for us to go through and choose which regulations we think are appropriate without just abdicating our authority to a national body who could do something, change something tomorrow that we don't agree with.
Yes, sir. This is a discussion item. I'm bringing it to your attention, but this is somewhat of an issue. It's only bit us one time in the years since I've been here, but if we got a big fight, and perhaps, and this would be a legal question, perhaps the commission could delegate the authority just to say, okay, you can use the unified rules in this minus this, this, and this.
Right. I think that's what we should do. I mean, if there are certain rules that create problems on big fights because of confusion, I think there's a way to do that without just throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
And it's just a discussion, but if the chairman sees fit, perhaps in a future agenda, we could discuss it as an action item. But the commissioners are now versed that this is a difference, and this is with this appeal, actually 2 of the appeals, but the one appeal actually had real world consequences had it been in the wrong round.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I agree with the importance of consistency just for the state of boxing, but we have our priorities here in California. So I'd like to have you give us more deeper information so that we can have it as an action item on the next agenda. But if you can provide more details on examples, we'd appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Now for the fun part. We're done with all the important items and action items and discussions. If we can now go into our strategic planning session. A 5-minute break? Sure, that's fine. We can go use the restrooms if we need to. If we can go into our strategic planning session, ladies, the floor is yours. And if you can, I'm sorry, I don't have the names, but if you could remind us of your names, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, my name is Sarah Irani. I am a strategic business analyst and facilitator with Solid. And I also have with me my co-facilitator.
Trisha St. Clair, also a strategic business analyst and facilitator with Solid.
Great, thanks for being with us. Are you boxing fans, by the way, or MMA fans?
No, I don't think I've really
But you
watched
learned a
too
lot
much.
today, I hope.
Yeah, I also learned a lot reading the comments from the survey and putting your environmental scan together. So I definitely am more knowledgeable now.
Great, the floor is yours.
All right. So we're having our strategic planning session. One second. All right. We already introduced ourselves, but just as a reminder, our role today, we're going to act as a neutral party and documenting the discussion. We're going to check for understanding, and for any parts of that we're documenting today, we're going to do spelling and grammar later. A lot of times when we're working with other programs, they like to wordsmith and they like to write out the sentence exactly how they want. We're not going to do this today. We are just throwing ideas at the wall. So it's going to be the brainstorming session. Trisha and I will be writing the actual objectives for your strategic plan offline later. Yep. All right. Just as a reminder, just to kind of your expectations, minimize any distractions, try not to be on your cell phone, silence it, respect one another's contributions. We do ask that everyone try to participate and contribute. I do see we have a commission member on remotely, so I will try to remember to check in every so often in case you have any input. And lastly, we do ask that everyone try to reach a consensus. Once again, we have limited time here today and we want to make sure we get through everything. We do have 9 goal areas, which is kind of a lot. And I just want to make sure we get through everything today. All right, so this is probably the longest portion of the strategic planning session. We're going to be playing a couple diversity, equity, and inclusion videos. This is part of your training as a commission member. The first one is about 20 minutes long, and then the second one is mercilessly only 2 minutes long. So I'm going to put those up, and then once that's done, we'll get through the rest of the presentation. So one moment. Sharing.
How are you doing, Dr. Williams?
I was just unmuting. I'm fine. I'm still here.
Nice to have you.
Okay, WebEx did update over the weekend, so there may be some technical difficulties while I try to play this.
Hi, my name is Lisa Bacon, Training Manager with the Department of Consumer Affairs Solid Training and Planning Solutions team. I'm excited to bring today's training video about diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI, to all of you. My training experience in DEI goes back to 2015 across multiple departments, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to support DCA's DEI efforts. What does DEI mean? That's the title of today's training video and is truly reflective of what we will cover. The training content was collaboratively built using resources, research, and training with the goal to further our understanding of this important topic. This training video will provide a foundation of the general concepts, understanding, and importance of DEI. The Solid team is honored and excited to be a part of DCA's DEI initiatives, and we will continue to expand our commitment to DEI through both training and learning. I'm also proud to share this year, every Solid trainer will be DEI certified, and more DEI trainings are on the horizon. I expect this will only be the beginning of exciting things to come for DCA. So now, let's get into it. What does DEI mean? Our learning objectives for this training will be to understand what diversity means and who it relates to, why it's necessary to choose equity versus equality. We'll discuss the benefits reflected in our work culture when we practice inclusion, and I'll share several examples of how to integrate DEI. I think it's important to mention this training's alignment with our mission statement, which is to advance a diverse, equitable, and inclusive California Department of Consumer Affairs for all. To understand diversity, we first need to define what it means. Diversity is all the characteristics and experiences which define each of us as individuals and the groups to which we belong. Often there's a mindset which associates diversity with only individuals who fall under the protected classes. Diversity is relevant and inclusive of every human being based on each aspect of our lives. We're multi-dimensional beings, which makes us diversely unique. Race and ethnicity are frequently misunderstood. People don't always recognize or identify themselves with one simplistic and usually limited category listed on a demographic questionnaire. To shed some light on this, here are the definitions. Race is biological and refers to groups of people often based on physical characteristics such as the color of their skin. Ethnicity is a broader term than race, and it's your cultural identity. It's chosen or learned from your culture and family experiences, such as a certain custom, traditions, and languages you've been exposed to within the group you feel you belong. Someone might say their race is black, yet they associate their ethnicity with Portuguese. Or another person might say their race is white and their ethnicity is Irish. I'm a fan of this diversity iceberg because I feel it's a good representation of human diversity. Above the waterline, we can only see about 20 to 30% of an iceberg. The other 70 to 80% is below the surface. When we first interact with someone, there are features we can quickly identify in a short amount of time, such as their body language, an accent when they speak, possibly their gender, and how they're dressed. But these only represent very limited and sometimes inaccurate characteristics of the person. There are numerous layers and dimensions to who we really are, such as our education, sexual orientation, work ethic, strengths, life experiences, and personality traits. And it's impossible to identify these core attributes within a person until we've invested the time to find out. And this is when unconscious bias comes into play, above the surface, when our brains quickly respond to a person or group of people simply based on limited external perceptions. Our brain is biologically wired to rapidly intake information all around us to determine our safety. It's the mechanism which activates our fight or flight response. This is also known as implicit bias. It's an unconscious response and inherent to all humans. We're exposed to influences from an early age based on our environment, our family, education from schools, community, television, movies, marketing, and one of the most powerful influences in our culture today is social media. Because of these unconscious influences, our brains begin to form stereotypes about the society around us. People who look or act a certain way are categorized in our minds based on these mental intakes. Have you ever had that gut feeling when you've been around someone for 5 seconds? It's important to listen to our intuition, but this becomes a problem when we have a strong reaction to someone based on very limited information. We want to trust that feeling and sometimes revere it as a superpower, but we need to make sure we pause and ask ourselves truthfully what prompted those feelings. This is why unconscious bias tends to have a negative connotation. It is how our brains work, but we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we respond, especially when it's based on an unfair judgment. If we're brave enough to ask and listen to how we've impacted the people around us, we can become more aware of our own biases and reprogram our brain's response system. Viktor Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Now I want to talk about the E in DEI and the difference between equality versus equity. Equality happens when we provide the same, equal treatment to everyone, and it can feel fair. When we choose to give equity, we create pathways to equal outcomes by recognizing that some people and communities have unequal starting points. This picture reflects what it looks like when we give everyone equal resources. Our intentions may be good, but when we check in and ask people how they're doing, we'll find out not everyone was able to participate. If we check in with people first and find out what they need, it levels the playing field for everyone to succeed. Equality is often related to what most of us know as the golden rule. Treat others the way that you want to be treated. But what you need to succeed can look very different from the people around you. Equity is a verb and a choice. We should all practice the Platinum Equity Rule, which is ask people what they need, then choose to give it so they feel respected. We all deserve respect. Aretha Franklin sang it best. RESPECT, find out what it means to me. I love this quote from Maya Angelou. She says, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is when inclusion comes in. Inclusion is the practice it takes to create a positive work environment where the differences of every team member is recognized, understood, and valued. Inclusion is about building trust within our working relationships. One attempt isn't going to automatically change everything, and it's not always easy because we don't automatically know what everyone needs or how people prefer to engage. Inclusion takes time and practice. The key is we need to be curious, ask, listen, and invite the people you serve to provide input. Don't just ask for their feedback after the project is said and done. Give everyone involved a voice and a seat at the table. When we practice inclusion, it lifts morale. Retention increases because people like coming to work. When people feel valued and heard, they're innovative, which inspires collaboration within teams, and DCA becomes a destination employer. Simon Sinek believes the role of a leader is not to come up with all the great ideas. The role of a leader is to create an environment in which great ideas can happen. How can we create inclusive engagement? Hold meetings regularly, then give people options for how to communicate and provide input. In work groups, extroverts tend to speak up and sometimes dominate conversations. If an introvert or analytical person who needs a little more time to problem solve isn't given an opportunity, great ideas and insight can be lost. Groupthink, also known as conformity bias, can quickly contaminate a group when everyone's voice isn't heard and understood. When a special assignment or project is given, make sure the goals and expectations are clear. Give everyone on the team an opportunity to learn and grow from a special assignment. Create a mentoring opportunity by pairing someone more experienced with someone who's new to the project. This knowledge transfer is ideal for succession planning. There is a DEI section in the Strategic Planning Environmental Scan. It will centralize input on DEI matters and contain demographic information collected. This section can help further inform the board as it considers impacts of policy decision. Our mission is to provide outstanding support services, oversight, and innovative solutions to boards and bureaus that regulate California professionals and vocations so that through this partnership, all Californians are informed, empowered, and protected. Our vision, together protecting California consumers. Our values, accountability, communication, diversity, employees, integrity, leadership, service, and transparency. As a board, you should ensure that your mission, vision, and values supports change and evolves to meet the needs of all Californians. We want all Californians to feel accepted in seeking services we provide. As board members, you are the leaders of the industry you regulate. In this next section, We will discuss actionable areas to incorporate DEI in 4 areas: policy, licensing, enforcement, and outreach. In policy, we need to ask ourselves if the decisions we are considering will lead to the success of everyone involved. Reflect on who will benefit from or be burdened by the proposal or decision being considered. Are the needs of one demographic different from another geographic group? Think equity. What data or metrics will you use to evaluate the impacts of your decisions? Leverage methods that increase public input and engagement, such as workshops, surveys, and multilingual communications. Actively engage with diverse and underserved communities. Reach out to associations, colleges, interested parties, other licensing or regulatory bodies. Utilize the strategic planning process. Review information collected through the new environmental scans, which incorporate DEI questions. In licensing, when licensees reflect communities they serve, it expands access to all. Use plain language. Simplify communication so it's easy to understand and complete. Expand multilingual resources for applicants and consumers. Consider additional pathways to gain experience and/or education for licensure. Expand outreach for subject matter experts to ensure the exam development process is inclusive. When it comes to enforcement, drive fair outcomes and protect the vulnerable. Review enforcement data and trends. Update enforcement policies, processes, and procedures to mitigate unintended consequences to impacted populations through increased engagement with consumers, stakeholders, and communities. When you build your team, consider the needs of all the communities we serve. Do you need more bilingual staff? Do you need additional staff in certain areas of the state? Expand your outreach through HR, job fairs, and inquire about other opportunities you may not have considered before. As you begin to integrate DEI, remember you can't take the bias from the person, but you can remove the bias from the process. Through outreach, you can increase access and opportunity when you reach and meet people where they're at. Do you know what the second most common language in California is? Spanish. So when you translate resource materials based on the people you serve, you expand language access. Develop multilingual communications for social media posts, applications, forms, and other resources you provide. Publish written and video testimonials from your diverse consumers, which reflect their age, race, gender, and cultural differences. As you begin to integrate DEI, remember to leverage all the resources available to you at DCA. The Equal Employment Opportunity Office administers the American Sign Language and Real-Time Captioning Services contract. The EEO office conducts the department-wide language survey to identify the public it serves, the languages spoken, and the bilingual resources available at DCA to ensure equal access is provided for all consumers. The Consumer Information Center administers a contract that provides phone language services to consumers in over 200 languages. The Office of Human Resources administers the bilingual pay program, including the establishment of bilingual positions. The Office of Publications, Design, and Editing coordinates requests for the translation of written materials. The Solid Training and Planning Solutions offers DEI-related trainings, surveys, meeting facilitation, and development of strategic plans. The Office of Professional Examination Services offers examination translation and adaptation services. I want to share one of the many examples of how the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology has integrated DEI.
The California Board of Barbering and Cosmetology celebrates the ever-changing diversity of California's consumers and licensees,
so we can establish a quorum,
which is why the board has made a concerted effort to expand on its language accessibility. Here are some of our achievements.
Please enter 1 for Spanish and 2 for all other languages.
Upon request, each individual that visits the board in person is given the opportunity to access an interpreter via the Language Line phone service if the individual does not feel they are able to effectively communicate with board staff. Let's take a look.
Good morning. How can I help you?
Tôi không nói tiếng Anh.
Okay. Is there another language
that you prefer? Do you see one on this list?
Tôi nói tiếng Việt.
Okay.
A unit within the Department of Consumer Affairs called the Consumer Information Center, or CIC, provides phone agents who assist consumers and licensees in English, Spanish, and more than 240 other languages with the assistance of a third-party vendor via the toll-free number 1-800-952-5210. Phone agents usually serve as the public's first point of contact. They provide many services to both consumers and licensees. CIC phone agents answer nearly 1 million calls per year. The board provides 3 additional language access pages in Spanish, Vietnamese, and Korean languages on its website, www.barbercosmo.ca.gov. The English homepage has the option for Google Translate. Almost every publication, form, bulletin, and trifold the board provides is translated into Spanish, Vietnamese, and Korean. Items such as the self-inspection worksheet and the What to Expect When You're Inspected trifold are available in these languages. Select videos such as foot spa cleaning and disinfecting have been translated into the Vietnamese language and posted to the board's website.
Hi, my name is Kai with the State Board. I'm here doing inspection.
When inspecting salons with Vietnamese-speaking individuals where violations have been found, inspectors utilize a translated violation cover sheet, which contains a simplified, translated explanation of select common salons are provided in both the English and Vietnamese languages to the establishment owner. Board inspectors, exam site staff, and headquarters staff receive updated, specialized training on how to utilize an interpreter via the Language Line phone service to address language access situations found in their respective job roles. Interpreters are provided free of charge to petitioners in disciplinary review hearings upon request, so that each licensee can fully understand their hearing and the additional information provided at the hearing. The California Board of Barbering and Cosmetology is dedicated to providing all individuals with meaningful access to the board's services, programs, and activities. We are working hard to expand our language access, and will continue to do so.
When we think about DEI, remember diversity is a fact, equity is a choice, inclusion is an action, and the outcome is belonging. UC Berkeley's Others and Belonging Institute states, belonging describes values and practices where no person is left out of the circle of concern. Belonging means more than having just access. It means having a meaningful voice and the opportunity to participate. We need to make sure our efforts aren't just transactional. They need to be transformative, and it will take time. So remember, DEI is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, great. And we got one more. Give me 1 second while I get it set up. This one is much shorter.
In 2022, Governor Newsom issued an executive order directing state agencies and departments to build upon the state's efforts to advance equity by taking new concrete actions to address disparities and expand opportunity for all Californians. The governor's executive order builds upon and strengthens the state's commitment to a California for all. We all have an important role in this effort. As you develop your board's strategic plan, building in and embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion into the goals and objectives is one of the most effective ways we can make progress and produce results with long-lasting impacts. The work that the boards and bureaus do touches the lives of every Californian. That is why it is so important to take into account every Californian when building out the board's mission, vision, values, and goals. The department's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Steering Committee and the SOLID team are available as a resource to help you in meeting those goals. Thank you for being a part of making our department a diverse, equitable, and inclusive California Department of Consumer Affairs for all.
Okay, one moment while I get the PowerPoint back up. All right, so while we're working through the strategic planning process, we'll just kind of keep in mind some of those diversity, equity, and inclusion things that we saw from the video. Things that you might want to consider is who benefits or is burdened by any of the objectives that we create today. Are there different needs for different groups? How are we going to measure the effectiveness of each of these objectives? And lastly, what data can we use to measure the success measures for these? All right, so to kind of wake everyone up after watching those videos, we're going to play a quick game. It is very short, I promise, to kind of explain why do we create a strategic plan. So in the little packet that you have in front of you, you should have a sheet with a bunch of numbers on it. And what we're going to do, and for our commission member online, we're going to count by touch. And so you're going to find a number 1, either touching with your finger or your pen. And then you're going to find the number 2. And then after that, 3, and we'll go on. But we're only going to give you 30 seconds to do it. Okay? Does everyone understand what we're doing? No. No, I'm seeing shaking heads or. All right, so when I say go, you go ahead and get started. So go. All right, and time is up. What was the highest number that people got? 17? 44. Oh, okay. Someone's played this game before.
Well, mine were like this. I cheated.
15? Okay. All right. So what if I told you that there is a strategy to this game, which I think whoever got 44 may already know the strategy. So let me pass out another sheet. Oh yeah, you got the. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger font.
I should have deleted that slide before I sent it over to Andy. But yes, there is a strategy to this game. So if you notice, there is a grid on the screen. And the number 1 is in that number 1 box. Number 2 is in 2, 3 is in 3. And then it goes all the way to 9. And then once you go up to 10, it's in box number 1. You just kind of keep following that same pattern. So I'm going to do another 30 seconds, and then we'll see if anyone can get a little bit higher. So go. All right, and time. Did we get higher numbers than the first time? 52. 52. All right. I think it does end at 54. All right. So why this relates to strategic planning. As you noticed, you were able to achieve your goals and get a little bit further when you had a strategy in place and you had a plan, kind of like with strategic planning. When you have that, you're kind of have like a goal and a roadmap and you're not putting out fires constantly. All right, so strategic planning does answer a couple questions. Where we are now, where are we going, and how will we get there? And these are answered by your mission and your values, that environmental scan that you got with your board meeting materials. The where are we going, this is your vision, your goal, and objectives, and the how will we get there, this is the action plan. I'll cover these very briefly. Additionally, you can also think of your strategic plan as a house. Your mission, values, and visions are the foundation of your house. Your goals, which are your day-to-day processes, licensing, health and safety, tribal relations, those are kind of like your walls of the house that kind of create structure. And then the objectives are the furnishings, which are your like your curtains or maybe furniture and everything that you change out every couple years, which will be the length of the strategic plan. All right. This is your mission statement. I know you already made changes to it, I believe last year, but just in case, I wanted to show it just in case you do want to make any other changes. Looks good?
I think it looks good.
All right, perfect. All right, and then your values here. Once again, I know you already went through the mission, vision, values workshop, but I want to give an opportunity just in case you want to add anything or if you want to change anything to these.
I think these are good. I think if you witnessed, we did all of this today, right? We took account of responsibility because we have our integrity. We strive for excellence and we're consistent. Innovation. Talking about, maybe different rules from California and the national. I think we did a great job and we do a great job in recognizing the diversity of our participants, and also protecting and promoting, even though we don't have any authority, helping our promoters talk to one of the venues, which is very important. So I think we did everything today. Does anybody have anything to add?
Right, perfect.
And I really appreciated the comments and compliments from those two individuals who complimented our commission.
All right, and where are we now? That's kind of defined by your environmental scan. You should have gotten a copy of your board meeting materials. If you didn't, I do have one extra copy up here if you need to look through it. But the environmental scan, it is a study on how your stakeholders perceive the commission. They rate the effectiveness, and it's also a response to the industry it operates in the world trends. And then your vision statement, a vision statement is kind of like if you accomplished everything, if you accomplished your mission and you accomplished everything, what would utopia look like, basically, right? And so this is your current vision statement. If you'd like to make any changes, we can. If not, that's totally fine.
Comments?
I think we're actually pretty close to there. I mean, I often hear people say very derogatory things about other commissions and using the California one as comparison in a good way. So I think we're actually doing pretty well.
I'm fine. Gentlemen?
All right, perfect. All right. And so these are your goals. As you see, we do have 9. So we'll get through all of these today. And so what we're doing today is we're going to create objectives under each of those goal areas. Typically anywhere between 3 to 6. If we have less, that's totally okay. If we have more, that's also fine. But to kind of talk about what's the difference between objectives and goals. Objectives are things that are in response to your environmental scan, and they're a lot more short-term. So for the length of your strategic plan, your goals are your day-to-day processes, like I mentioned earlier, health and safety, licensing, enforcement, et cetera. All right, and just a reminder for roles and responsibilities, consumer protection is the mandate of the department. And you just want to remember that you try to balance that with your available resources. Staff is responsible for, making sure the strategic plan is conducted. And you have to remember what staff's resources are when we're coming up with objectives today. All right. What we'll be doing is we'll be creating 3 to 6 objectives per goal area. We'll talk about the issue, topic, why address it, and then we'll try to fill out how the commission can solve or address and desired outcome. What we did do a couple weeks back is I met with Andy and I met with Patricia, and we kind of pre-filled in some of these objectives to present to you. We can edit them. We can say, yes, this is good, no further comment, or we can add more to them if you'd like. So that's what we're going to do today. I also handed out to you all some little index cards. There's a green one and a red one. Yep. We're going to use those as little flags. So you can put up green when you're ready to move on. Or you could put up red to say, hey, I have something to say. Let's stop. All right. Is everyone ready? Any questions before we get started? I'm going to try to go through this as fast as I can. All good? All right. So we will start with our first goal area, health and safety. And if you'd like to make any edits to the goal area description here, we can. If not, your summary on the strengths and weaknesses for this area is on pages 10 through 12 of your environmental scan. Green card. I like it when people use these. All right, so this is just a quick, I have also passed this out to our commission members as well, just a quick summary of those summaries. Kind of what the weaknesses were and the opportunities and threats that were highlighted in the environmental scan. Those opportunities and threats may or may not apply to the specific goal area. And then you also have a handout in front of you that is a summary of the diversity, equity, and inclusion comments as well, which may or may not apply to this goal area. All right, and so what I'm going to do is for this specific goal area, Andy and Patricia have created 6 objectives under this one. I'm going to read through them first, and then we'll go back and determine if the first one sounds good, and then the second one, and then we'll add any more if we want to. So there's no order to them right now. We can reorder them later offline if you'd like. Yeah. All right. They're just listed in the order that we created them. So the first one is issue topic drug testing. Why I addressed it. Need enhanced drug testing practices to protect licensees. Concussion protocol. Don't want people beginning to fight with a concussion. Weight cutting. Don't want someone dying from a weight cut. Don't want promoters losing fights because of weight cuts. Educating matchmakers to make on making appropriate matches. Why address it? Inappropriate matches are dangerous and bad for the public. 5th one, law passed forcing ambulance to transport hurt fighters. Why address it? This was a problem in the past with ambulances refusing to transport hurt fighters. Need to educate them on the new law so that they do transport them. And then our 6th one, continuous appropriation, general fund supplementation. CSAC needs flexibility, regulate effectively to achieve a $3.5 million budget allocation. All right. So we'll go back to that first one. How do we feel about this first goal area or this first objective? Something we want to keep?
So the objective is continue drug testing?
Yeah, need enhanced, well, the issue topic is drug testing, and the why address it is need enhanced drug testing practices to protect licensees.
Should I raise my card or?
If you've got no comments, you can raise the green card and say we're ready to move on. If you want to add to it, we can, you can't put up the red one.
I think I don't have any issues or questions, commissioners.
All right. Do we have any comments for like desired outcome or how the commission can solve or address it? If not, that's okay. We can fill those out later.
Is drug testing conducted at all events?
Yes, ma'am.
The concussion protocol?
Mhm.
Is that what-
Yeah, it's our next one.
What about it? I mean, aren't objectives supposed to be a statement that you will accomplish something?
So,
Not just 2 words?
well, okay, so today what we're doing is we are just throwing ideas at I write the objectives after today. So yeah, today is more just brainstorming.
Yep. I'm on the number 2, concussion.
All right. And then how about number 3, weight cutting?
Is anyone in favor of people dying from weight cuts?
Yeah. No, that's important, obviously.
Do we have any ideas on how the commission can solve this? What the commission can do?
Just continue to communicate.
Continue to communicate?
I think we also don't want fighters disadvantaged because somebody else's weight gain after
Yeah.
as well. So that should be.
Right.
It's almost every weekend we cancel one because of that disparity. Had one the other day where the girl was 26 pounds heavier than her opponent on the female fight. That's a lot on the female fight. We.
All right. So next we have educating matchmakers on making appropriate matches. And what can the commission do for this one to kind of educate more?
We can just send them our kind of our guidelines that we have.
Do you guys work with any other organization, like what's his name, Sean from UFC? Like,
Sean Shelby.
yeah, do you guys like communicate, like pass it back and forth? Like, here's the protocol or ideas we have, or no?
Sometimes I did actually a couple weeks ago, and it was on the. This is worth talking about. We're in health and safety. I have this opinion that 5-round fights in mixed martial arts should be rare. That's my opinion. Okay. And I've kind of balked on approving 5-round fights for like $2,500 here in California. I just won't do it. And LFA wanted to do one, and we went back and forth for a while. But I'm not. I think they should be paid like it should be championship
Like
level
world
type
title
money.
fights, yeah.
And that's one of the big things. And I called the UFC about that. And we talked about that. And they said, no, it's not their.
Yeah.
They're not the ones pushing this issue.
I would maybe amend, educate matchmakers, making appropriate matches and appropriate salaries or.
That's right, sir. Yes.
So I would incorporate that. Educate matchmakers on making appropriate matches and appropriate salaries. Is that the right term? Purses, compensation for participants. You guys can pick the word with your syntax.
Yeah, we'll do the wordsmithing later.
But you understand, we want to make sure that the participants are fairly compensated and. Oh, yeah. Oh, red card.
Oh, right. Okay. Sure.
goal area number 1, terrorism threats, external threat.
Where?
Yeah.
Some of the comments are not legible if you don't use your microphone. Just a reminder.
Sorry about that. I was just reading through some of the internal weaknesses and opportunities, and I looked at goal area number 1 as a terrorism threats, and I'm curious. It's on all of them.
Yeah, so the opportunities and threats are, they apply to every single goal area. There are factors that are outside your commission. So someone had brought up that a terrorism threat at a event could potentially be a threat.
And for the
So that's why that's in.
for the kind of events that we run, it probably is true. I mean, if I was going to become a terrorist, I would think I would target places with a lot of people. Not that that's on my plan or anything.
I just don't know how that's relevant because we don't control the venue. It's not.
Right. We don't control the venue or the security.
Yeah, usually opportunities and threats are outside the program's control. It's just something that you need to, it's more like it's something you need to be aware of rather than you actually have control over
Like
it.
asking the medical board to consider terrorism threats in hospitals because they license physicians, you know?
Yeah, a little.
New world.
I'll pull that red card back down. I was just
All right. Thank you.
carrying forward.
Thank you.
All right, going to number 5, law passed forcing ambulance to transport hurt fighters. And the why address it was that you needed to make sure that the ambulances are aware of this new law. How is the commission going to do that?
We already passed
Oh, perfect.
policy to ensure that issue. So it's a law now, a state law, so that we can override anyone, our doctors can override any representative of that's there for our fighters or participants to go to a hospital immediately. So we already achieved that.
And I think maybe we're gonna, I'm working with John on like making a little piece of paper, little like a pamphlet or something to give out to the ambulance providers.
Okay.
Because some of them don't believe this law. They don't believe it. So we've had to show that to them. And then they call their people and then their people call somebody else. And so having a pamphlet might be helpful for them to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pamphlet should point out that if the statute, and if they choose not to follow the statute, then there's going to be liability exposure that goes along with that.
Right. This is new, so we're educating them and we'll continue to do that.
Perfect. All right. And then this last one, this one's going to be a common theme with all the goal areas, which was general fund supplementation. How can the commission seek this?
Yeah, that was the common theme, and that's what I've mentioned to Chairman Villegas and to Commissioner Welch and to Commissioner Gurrell and to every commissioner on here is we're specially funded to the point to where we literally have Commerce Casino on the agenda because I've got to inform the commissioners that we're going to be losing revenue and I'm trying to fill the hole. This is important because Mark Rayet is sitting over there and this commission does more events than any commission in the United States by a large margin, second in the world, only the country of Japan on $2 million. Okay. And a good bit of that, and I'm not complaining because DCA does wonderful, wonderful things for us, but some of that's pro rata and some of it's state pro rata. So now you're basically regulating 160 events, whatever, with $1.5 million, $1.6 million, depending on the year. And then I go back and ask for the budget bill language that gives us another 150 grand for inspectors and for this and for drug testing. And we're doing that every single year. And I'm close to out of rabbits to pull out of the hat, you know, and we could go ask for a BCP. We could. I'm uncomfortable doing that. We're a special fund and we're more volatile than any because we only get like 11% of the money from licensing. So the rest of it comes from the events. if I were to leave and you had somebody that didn't watch the budget quite as close, you could run into a problem just like we did how I got this job because it went insolvent.
Well, please don't say you'll ever leave.
You're not allowed to
I don't
leave.
want to hear that.
Goal number one.
But I'm talking about like the commissioners, we're all on the response, like, even though I doubt this actually could be enforced, there is a law that says we are all, myself and you guys, we're financially responsible for this commission
Yeah.
from a personal level, which is interesting.
I think it would help if DCA recognized we're not like other commissions on our revenue generation. We get it off the events. And so we have to be very active and very innovative in making sure our funding is appropriate. And I think having DCA just recognize we're different and we're not the same as the others would be helpful. I know, I hope they do. I think they do, but to continue to understand that. Any other thoughts?
As more and more we start to, well, since I've been on, the events have started to, increase. I'm always concerned about I don't really track the PYs, but it seems to me like the workload of the staff needs to be evaluated, on a continual basis, because it seems to be like we just keep doing more on the same budget. And there's got to be some pressure points there. We only have so many inspectors, so many, staff that are going out and doing all these events. So that's just always a concern that should factor in here.
I'd also like to dovetail on what Commissioner Wetch said. The amount of travel that the commission requires to put on our executives and our inspectors and staff has to also be taken into consideration. I'm assuming you guys are working full work weeks and then on the weekends going off and doing these events. And so that's also a real concern.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know for sure, but we're probably the only commission that has media dedicated to our responsibilities. So every day, whatever we do will be scrutinized and evaluated. And as my fellow commissioner said, the workload and the travel is tough. And it would be helpful if DCA recognized that, how hard the staff works. It's incredible. I couldn't keep up.
Chairman, could I ask Andy a question through you?
Sure.
Do other commissions around the country, are other commissions getting direct support from their general funds? Are you aware of?
Yes, Commissioner Gurrell, most commissions are generally funded. Okay, most. Nevada, interestingly enough, was generally funded up until I believe 2015 or 2016, and then they switched over to a special fund model. But like state of Georgia, state of Texas, state of New York, I can go on and on and on. Florida, they're generally funded.
And there's some statistic I've heard that we do more events than some of those states combined.
Yes, in 2019, this commission did more boxing events than New York, Texas, Nevada, and New Jersey combined.
Any other comments?
Is there precedent for having a combination, whether it be a certain base or a certain supplementation to what the special fund is? Is there anything else that runs like that or no?
I don't.
That's the idea, like here. So like my idea was, okay, like right now we're appropriate like 2 million and change. So say the commission brings in from the revenue 2 million, the general fund would kick in $1.5 million. But if we had like a pandemic year, which actually happened, and our revenue fell to 600,000, that was 90% of Tom Brown, TGB. If we had a year like that, we obviously not going to spend as much money, so you don't need as much. Does that make sense? You don't need as much revenue.
I think it's also important to recognize that we are revenue generators for the small businesses, the communities where we have these activities, the hotels, the airlines, the transportation, the restaurants. People from all over the world come to our events and spend a lot of money in the communities and help the businesses that need help. And I can't think of other commissions that do that, maybe so, but I think DCA should recognize that point as well. And
Yeah. I mean, the difficulty is the concept is that regulatory bodies, the industries that they regulate will pay for the regulation, right, across the board. So it's not unique. The same thing, California Horse Racing Board struggles same way. And so when you go and you try to obtain general funding, then, in the political arena, then you're pitted against, other essential services and things of that nature, and it becomes very difficult. What we should be, I think we're, to the chairman's point, if we were to ever be successful, it might be trying to find some subventions from tourism dollars. And we make, rather than just going after general fund dollars, say, okay, you have so much money set aside for all these different I mean, like, SeaWorld, all these places are getting supported in certain ways. What's the value of this commission in terms of tourism? And then we could compete for some tourism dollars, perhaps.
yep, good point.
I think that's very.
All right. Were there any other weaknesses from the environmental scan that you want to address?
Yeah, I have one.
Sure.
I think one of our goals should be to highlight, promote our pension fund and retirement fund for participants.
I think that's a separate goal area.
It is?
Yeah. So we can put a pin in that one
Okay.
until we get to that goal area.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's just health and safety. But if we're good in health and safety, we can move on to licensing.
Yeah, I'm.
Right.
Okay.
And then is our commission member who was on WebEx, are they still online?
No.
No? Okay. In that case, I don't have to keep checking in. All right. Oh, and at this point, do we want to go to public comment?
Sure. Public comment from anyone in the room or online?
This is the moderator. If anyone has any public comment on the objective we just went through, or the goal area, you can raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon. Are there any comments on the health and safety goal area? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close public comment feature?
Please.
Thanks.
All right, so next we'll move on to licensing. And here's our goal area description. If you have any edits, please let me know. And then the summaries for that is on pages 13 through 19 of your environmental scan. Right, no edits to the goal area description. All right, so once again, here's a highlight of those weaknesses. And once again, those opportunities and threats, which may or may not apply to this goal area.
How's our technology on this or anything else?
We use Microsoft Excel, sir.
Wow. So need to update it.
Yes, sir. That's been an ongoing issue. We were on the Breeze program and then that changed. And then we did this business modernization mapping and we were going to do that. And then the pandemic hit and all of the commission's fund reserve, it dropped from 1.9 to about 400,000. Then we're having to pay the AG, the Attorney General's office, a whole bunch of extra costs. And this was an expensive project. So we weren't able to do it because we didn't have the funds at the time.
Are all the commissions on the same technology platforms?
I'm sorry, do you mean under DCA or? Unfortunately, I don't know.
No, sir.
All right. Okay. That would be a need, obviously. Any other comments or questions from my fellow commissioners?
Seems like a good thing to do if we can get the money.
Okay, so that was one that we brought up with Andy and Patricia, which was online licensing needs and modernization. Anything else under licensing that we want to focus on for a strategic plan?
Well, commissioners, we're close, like next fiscal year after June. I think we'll have enough money to do I think they wanted 25,000 to put our seconds licenses on the internet so that people can buy with that's our biggest license type. So I think we'll have 25,000 at the beginning of next year. And so we'll see how that works out. So I think we'll have it.
Anything else from our commissioners? No, we can agree.
All right. In that case, we'll go through public comment after each goal area. So at this point, we'll go to public comment.
Okay, public comments. Any comments from anyone in the room? If not, anyone online?
And are there any comments on the goal area of licensing? If there are, click the hand icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. Comments on licensing? I see no requests. Shall I close that?
Please, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So next we'll move on to enforcement. Once again, this is the goal area description in front of you. And those summaries are on pages 17 through 20 of your environmental scan. Something fun with the weaknesses on this. I don't think I've ever had this for any program I worked with, but all your external stakeholders, so there were no weaknesses for this area. I don't think I've ever had a program where external stakeholders said that. All right, and then the quick summary of those weaknesses. These are all from your internal stakeholders. And then in that pre-strategic planning session with Patricia and Andy, we came up with this one again, which is the general fund supplementation. But if there were any other ideas you wanted under enforcement, now's the time to kind of add those.
Well, commissioners, this is an ongoing theme. To do these extra things, we've got to have additional resources. And I just want to publicly acknowledge the work that Mark Relier does with this issue. He and I are on the phone often. He gives a lot of stuff to Rogelio Chapa down in San Diego, who does an excellent job. Lee Palmer does a good job. We're all working. But Mark will tell you, and I can tell the commissioners, we're doing a lot of this enforcement that would cost a lot of money if you run it through Division of Investigations or do these things. If we do it internally, we can do it for $30 an hour with the inspectors. It's a lot cheaper, but I don't know if that's the greatest sustainable model for this kind of stuff that we do. And it's sort of like the DA having that prosecutorial discretion. We only attack the big cases, the cases that we know we can win, and we know that way it's easy. But Mark does a really good job with this area.
Thank you. Any questions, any comments?
I know there were a couple things in the environmental scan mentioning like a safety exam or posting rules on social media. I'm not sure if those are things that you want to consider or not.
We can certainly do that. That's costs nothing to post them on the internet.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight, we do a safety exam before and after the events.
Okay.
We really take care and are focused on the participants after the events.
Okay. Oh, I'm double checking. On the comment about the safety exam was upon renewal of their licensee or of their license as something to do.
Well, one thing that was done really well as far as the last rule changes, I know there was a lot of people on social media in both Spanish and English, like Mike Beltran, who's Spanish, I'm jealous of because this is much better than mine. He did a lot in Spanish. And then Uriah Faber did it in English and Mike did it in Spanish and English. So I think those social media posts are a good thing. And we could use that for other stuff too, because I actually saw a lot of them.
They did, and that post actually got more views than any other post in DCA history, so interesting.
I saw it.
Yeah. Half a million views.
Okay.
All right, all good with the two that we got?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, and then at this point, we'll go to public comment.
Anyone in the room have public comments? Hearing none, anyone online have public comments?
Any comments on the enforcement goal area and the two objectives? Click the hand icon at the bottom of your screen. I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that?
Please, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and to keep things interesting, Trisha and I will be switching off who will be scribing, who will be talking. So for next three, you'll be hearing from Trisha.
All right, so our next goal area is legislation, regulation, and policy, and you can see the description of it below. Just let us know if that description looks good to you.
As far as the second one, weren't we saying that we weren't necessarily going to seek legislation to do that? Yes? You're talking about goal 4?
So the goal for definition. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you moved on. Okay. And I'm sorry, what was your question?
I thought we had said earlier that Commissioner Wetch was suggesting that having legislation to adopt those rules wasn't the greatest idea. So we could move to adopt those unified rules, but not seek legislation to do so, because if we did that, then every time the rules changed, maybe we wouldn't agree with them. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I think that the intent here is right, that there seemed to be consensus that standardizing the rules, or conforming, I should say, conforming California rules with the ABC rules is probably a good idea for most of them, but not doing it just by reference, and that we would work through that, yeah.
I'm fine on this. Any comments, questions?
I took out the seek legislation part. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And if people are good with these two,
Yeah.
okay. All right, if that's the case, then we can go to public comment.
Any public comments from people in the room? Hearing none. Anyone online have public comments?
And if anyone has a public comment, you can click the hand icon that's at the bottom of the screen. This is for the legislation, regulation, and policy goal area, the two objectives, if you have any other ideas or comments. I do not see any requests. Shall I close that feature?
Please, thank you.
You
All right, next we have organizational effectiveness. I'll let you look at the definition below and let us know if you'd like to make any changes.
Well, let me just update the commissioners quickly. Of the areas, I thought this was the area that the commission performed the poorest on. Okay. And if you'll see that comment number 1 right there, summary of organizational effectiveness and weaknesses, you see external stakeholders say that communication to promote could be improved with updated information on who is who, the who's, the medical spreadsheets the commission sends out. What Mark and I did is we engaged one of the inspectors who's very good, with Rebecca Rollier, who's very good with the computer things, and they've built it's like a Google document spreadsheet that provides a password to the promoters. Okay, so now we put all the medical information on there. So when somebody has a change, they can log on and get it instead of calling the office 10 times a day trying to get the information. So that actually came from that number one when I read that. And so hopefully that will address that concern and it'll free up staff time. So that's been addressed.
Did you want to add that to your strategic plan or just to get credit for it or
Oh,
no?
I just told them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do people feel about these two objectives? And does anyone have any ideas about how to achieve them?
Well, in our company, we do worry about the idea of succession planning, and what we have is an internal wiki. I don't know if you all have something like that, but pretty much anything. My thing is always, if the only place to locate some knowledge is in somebody's brain, that's not a good deal. So I don't know if you have some kind of internal wiki or something like that. It doesn't have to be fancy. Ours isn't, but at least I can find stuff.
Yeah. I look at the funding to help us with technology and personnel.
And that was that to support the first objective or was that a new issue or topic?
Both. It would support both.
Okay.
Because you can't keep asking people to do more for the same amount of money.
And our staff is already stretched. I don't think we can, I don't want to stretch them anymore. They're already.
I know everybody's always asking the state for more money. Is it helpful if you can document an economic impact and say, for example, like I know when you had that event in Santa Monica, I couldn't get a restaurant anywhere, which is fine, right? But it's obvious that when you have an event somewhere that the hotel vacancy rates go down, the restaurant receipts go up. Is it helpful to document that? Because everybody comes in and does the same thing.
I mean, the state has like a $12 billion deficit and it's about to grow to about $25 billion in the next month or so with the Medicaid cuts coming for this. So there's no sympathy in the legislature for anything other than like safety net issues. So we have to get creative ourselves. And so I think keeping it at seeking funding without being specific to like general funding, because I think there's some ways that we can do that.
Yeah. I do think though, we should, if we can, I don't know how you do it, but just, watch and document how much we bring to the table with our events for future, just to have it, just to have it.
All right, I see green card. So if we're ready with these objectives, we can go to public comment.
Anyone in the room have a public comment? Hearing none. Anyone online?
If anyone would like to make a comment on the organizational effectiveness goal area, the two objectives, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Any comments? I do not see any requests. Shall I close that?
Please, thank you.
All right, next we have pension plans. I'll have you take a look at that definition. Let us know if it looks good to you.
I would think we need to promote it. We're the only state that has a pension plan for boxing and a retirement fund for MMA. The only state. That's innovative. That's leadership. And I think we need to promote that much, much more so that the participants and everyone in our community recognizes that. And hopefully, they would want to more events in California.
All right, and so that's captured in objective 4. And then other objectives need to increase sponsorships, to increase pension payouts to athletes, specialty license plates with DMV to increase pension payouts to athletes, and the 50-50 raffle to increase pension payouts to athletes. Do all these look good? Do people?
There's no issue with the 50/50 raffle, is there?
Yeah, I mean, oh, good. No, there's not.
Okay.
What we should be thinking about is, rather than just all these potential revenue streams to support the pension, some revenue streams to support the commission, right? And, the sponsorship issue certainly isn't something that needs to be dedicated to the pension.
License plate.
The license plate probably does. We've already done that. That was in statute. Authorizing the 50/50 raffle, that has to go to, the way I did the original legislation to allow for 50/50 raffles for the major league sports, right? And for Little League, I was just at a Little League game this weekend where we did a 50/50 raffle. 50% of the proceeds collected goes to whatever charity, 50% goes. So if we authorized boxing and, combat sports to qualify, probably have to have a provision that excludes when events are at venues where it's a gaming establishment. There'll be some complications there. But, you could also direct that money to the pension and to, and then maybe think about down the road, the gate, the ticket, the amount of money we get from tickets that go to the pension, backing that out to support the commission, and have the 50/50 raffle proceeds supplant that money, some things like that. But we should be thinking about other funding streams for the commission, given the challenges that we have, in my opinion.
Yes, I was at a Dodger game yesterday. The Dodgers, the World Championship, champion Dodgers. Not the San Francisco Giants, but the LA Dodgers champions. And they had a raffle. So we do need to be innovative and in compliance, but we'll have to come up with that.
All right, so we did add a note that the 50/50 raffle could also be a source of revenue for the commission. So we have that noted.
Yes.
Did anyone have anything else they wanted to add for the pension plan objectives?
As far as outreach, maybe we just have stuff posted in the gym because, I called Andy the other day. I just happened to be in a gym and this guy was there saying he was a pro boxer back in the day. And I asked him if he'd heard of the pension fund and he hadn't. And they were super happy to find out that he was in there. And I know we've done lots and lots of PR, but, Spanish wasn't or English wasn't his first language and he just had missed it. But we could probably get some sponsor to cover printing up posters to put up in gyms. There's plenty of people who would like to have their name on everything in every gym. And we could just I don't think that'd be hard to do.
Sure, right. We can do it.
And I would also add, working with the other boxing organizations, the World Boxing Council, WBA, WBO, IBF, those bodies to promote the pension.
We did it with the WBC.
We did it in Mexico with the WBC, and we just need to continue to promote it.
Okay, great. So if no one has any other objectives to add, then we can go to public comment.
Anyone in the room have public comment? Hearing none. Anyone online have public comment?
If there are any comments or suggestions about the pension plan's goal area, you can hit the hand icon to raise your hand. Any comments? I do not see any requests. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next we'll move on to outreach. And once again, the summary pages are on 28 through 30 of your environmental scan. Any comments on the goal area description? If not, we can jump right to the objectives.
This is outreach just for the commission.
Correct.
I think outreach publicly, I think a lot of people don't even know there's commissions,
Mhm.
especially in Southern California. I don't see a lot of representation on the commissions, obviously, but they're not aware. And so I think just promoting, it would help promoting just commissions, period.
Okay, some more promotion.
And, you know, for us in the boxing or MMA world, if something negative happens in Nevada or in Texas, we're part of that blame, and we need to make sure that, you know, we're focused on California and our commitment. But I think just public outreach on all commissions, including ours. Any other comments from my commissioners?
We had website update, increasing social media presence, allowing the EO to attend more industry events. Anything else that we might want to include here?
Work with DCA on all of your promotion outreach efforts and maybe how we can,
Okay, so collaborate with DCA.
and any best practices from other commissions on how they, you know, but we're different, but still.
Okay, so Trisha's typing
Speaking
that
of
out.
social media, I have noticed that the commission has a much more active social media presence
Yes.
than it used to, thanks to Sonia there, who's always posting pictures.
Yes.
No, but that's good because that's what people pay attention to.
It was really, when I was doing the interviews and reading the comments from the survey and everything, I was very pleased to find out that Andy does a lot of podcasts. I don't think I've heard of any other board or bureau or commission that does podcasting, so I thought that was very interesting.
Yes. He's recognized around, you know, really the world as one of the best executive directors, if not the best. And what he does. So we help other states, other commissions with his leadership.
All right. Anything else we want to add under outreach? No? All right. And then at this point, shall we go to public comment?
Any public comment in the room? Yes.
Hi, I'm Sonia Foster.
Hello,
I
Sonia.
I volunteer with CSAC. So any kind of social media post that I do is volunteer. And I think that because CSAC is a specially funded commission, that you kind of have to treat it like does DCA provide promotional, like posters, T-shirts, things like that. You know, we're talking about getting the knowledge out there about different commissions. And a lot of the people that are interested in CSAC are part of the entertainment world. So you could, I know it's a state-run facility, but to help with the fighter pension fund and all that, you know, who's creating the posters, who's creating the flyers, you know, who I've seen where, you know, there needs to be more like movies or videos made on behalf of like what CSAC is actually doing in the community, in the public, you know, with the pensions and stuff. I think a lot of people look at CSAC's social media page because they want to see the highlights. But I think to draw attention to those areas, they need someone to do like a video reel. You know, people's attention spans are not very long. They're not going to listen. Hopefully they would come eventually and participate in these meetings, but they're not going to spend 2 hours waiting for these meetings. So if you could get some like highlight videos or reels on media that a fighter will look and like, hey, look at, I fight in California. This is cool, you know, and that would probably help promote what the commission does. I mean, Nevada gets a lot of promotions because they're fighting at the big casinos. You know, they're constantly in association with the UFC and all those, and that's constantly on television. You know, CSAC's on TV when there's a big main event on TV here. So locally, I mean, we're in Sacramento, you have a lot of Sacramento fighters, You have a lot of gyms here in Sacramento. Is there a way where DCA could come out with their media, or is it DCA Media? Am I speaking correctly? That could come out and like create like a help reel. I mean, I used to work in the hospital. You know, the hospital was a for-profit hospital. They had to earn their funding in Georgia. So like they would come out and hire a media crew to like help promote what the hospital's doing, the new the outreach centers, the new cancer centers and stuff like that. And it would help promote. So if you're looking for funding or a volunteer or help CSAC develop revenue or people that want to work for CSAC, the knowledge has to get out there. So that was just my input on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment from the room? Hearing none. Online public comment?
If anyone has any comments on the outreach goal area and ideas, you're welcome to click the hand raise button to raise your hand. Any ideas or comments on the outreach? I do not see any. Shall I close that public comment?
Please, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so next we'll move on to goal area 8, tribal relationships. And we had 2 under this section. Incentive package with legislature to get major events in California, utilize tribes venues to help tribes and California benefit from tourism. And then the second one was to maintain your current relationships with the tribes. Lots of fights happen on the tribal properties to uphold your mandate.
We had a meeting on one of the tribal nations. Was it Morongo? Pachango. Are we going to do that again?
Pachanga.
Yeah, we
I think that was a good thing to do. And the other thing that I think is good, that maybe next time we have one down south, is if we invite people specifically. I mean, you always think, oh, everybody's welcome, but it wouldn't hurt to email some of those folks that we've worked with at those venues and just specifically invite them. Would you like to come to the meeting? Can we do that?
That's a great idea. The another idea is in 2019 I attended this and I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like the gaming native
Yeah, we have in Las Vegas every year.
trade group. Yes, but this year it was, I mean, that year it was at Saquon down south in San Diego. And probably not a bad idea for us to get back to that. I did a presentation there and 3 tribes, only 3 people came and the room was huge, but all 3 of those people signed up with CSAC, all 3 of them. So it was well worth the trip down and probably not a bad use of time.
Yeah, Andy and I have spoken about making sure we move around California for all of our meetings, not just here in SAC. So we're committed to do that and continue with the tribes. I think there's a tribal committee, right? Isn't there a state tribal body? What's the official association? I think working with them and just having some sort of communication would be advantageous.
And I know Commissioner Grell has been
I
working.
think we
Yes,
we did cover some of that with Secretary Schneider. I do think it would be great to maybe have a formalized check-in once a year, maybe invite her to our commission meetings. And then I would love if we could try to do one of our commission meetings a year on one of their partners' properties, if it was feasible.
Yeah, that's one of our commitments. And I think, having some sort of formal communication would be beneficial for both. Any other comments?
Anything else that we want to cover for tribal relationships? We're almost done. All right, looks good. In that case, I guess we'll go to public comment.
Any public comment from the room? Hearing none. Any public comment from online?
If anyone has a comment about the tribal relationships goal area, you may click on the hand icon to raise your hand. Any comments on tribal relationships? I do not see a request. Shall I close that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so our last goal area, economic development. Once again, the summaries are on pages 33 through 34, the environmental scan. And we had one objective that we worked on with Andy and Patricia on this one, which is that general fund supplementation.
Well, I mean, I think that this one really is squarely within exactly what Commissioner Wetch said 2 or 3 items ago. And that's, we've got to get creative with the way that we get revenue. But the economic development, like I was in that assembly member hearing with Assemblymember Gibson, they called me over, and that was Commissioner Wetch, you'd know a lot better than I would about the situation, but I don't believe that the state has an appetite right now to be giving out grants and things with a $12 billion deficit. So I think we've got to figure it out through public and private partnerships, which is authorized in the BMP code for this commission.
I also think that working with local municipalities or counties or even the state on trying to develop a formal exemption for promoters that want to come and look at locations to do fights, to have a tax exemption, whether it's various ways that there are opportunities so we can help promote California, that we really want to have their business. And that's for major events, not for everything, but maybe some, what we could define over 12,000 or 10,000, that there's some tax exemptions, because that would be helpful for us and be helpful for, again, the business community in that area.
Okay. All right. Anything else we want under economic development?
No.
All right, looks good. All right, in that case, we'll move to public comment.
Any public comment from anyone in the room? Hearing none. Anyone online have public comment?
Anyone who wants to make a comment on Goal 9, economic development, you can look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Any public comment? I do not see requests. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, please.
All right, so that is about it for strategic planning. So you have a total of 23 objectives over your 9 goal areas. And at this point, we're going to ask about how long do you think it'll take to complete that strategic plan? Most strategic plans are anywhere between 3 to 5 years. Andy and Patricia have suggested 5. Commission in agreement with that? Yep, okay, perfect. All right, so just to quickly talk about next steps, I will be drafting that strategic plan based on the discussion and notes we took today. I will give that draft to the commission to review, do any edits, and then you'll approve it during your next meeting. And then after that, I will work with the staff to do action planning, where we assign individual steps under each of those objectives on how to complete them. I kind of talked about that there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. You guys were great, and we appreciate the help and support.
We don't have an action.
We did pretty good, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're getting through it.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted you to know that, just make you aware, we've lost our quorum, but we have no more action items.
Correct. Thank you. Okay, you want to give your, let's go to item number 10, Executive Officer's Report.
Yeah, no, this will be quick, sir. Sir, I'm pleased to report, I feel very, very confident that we're going to meet our budget numbers this year. So, yeah, that's really all I have. And in fact, I think that we're going to exceed the projections.
Okay,
The update on specialty license plate, we got it reviewed, we put it back in. The DCA helped with the motorcycle piece of it, and it's back at the Department of Motor Vehicles for review. You've already heard
do we need to do anything else, or is that on the license plate?
no, sir, it's in their court.
Okay,
You've already heard the delegated entities. The staffing update, as we do every time, we're running pretty lean, with 5 people in the office, and Mark and Sean in the field. We don't have the, budget to be hiring people at this time.
does DCA allow for any internships?
We're actually looking at that, sir. We are, and that may be happening this summer.
I think that would be very, very helpful and very supported by people who would want to do it.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people would jump at that.
So would they be paid internships or not paid?
Paid, sir.
Okay. I think that's something that we should support or try to do, make sure we can get it done.
Yes, sir. We've had them in the past and I'm pleased to report that the interns that we have had have went on to do big things in life. So it's been very, very good.
Great. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, that concludes my report.
Okay, any public comment on items not on the agenda in the room? Any public comments from people online?
If there are any public comments on the executive officer's report, you may raise your hand to speak. Any comments on the report? I do not see any. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.